Hello and welcome to the ThreeWill podcast. This is your host, Danny Ryan, and I have Tommy here with me today. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Danny. Good morning.
Tommy Ryan, that is. He also shares the same last name as me.
Right.
We are brothers, and we're co-host of the ThreeWill podcast. And this week, I wanted to pick up on something that we do internally. You know, last week we were talking about the acquisition of Yammer and how that was more about probably how Microsoft delivers software than it is about the product itself. And I know for us, we were seeing a lot of changes coming from Office 365, and we had to figure out some way of staying on top of those changes internally because our customers look to us for us to sort of be on the bleeding edge, the cutting edge. And so one of the things that you did was you set up what we call the morning brew. And the morning brew is done on Tuesday mornings. And could you just sort of maybe just give me an overview of why you started this, what you were trying to do when you started this?
Yeah, so we look at ourselves as a learning organization, and as we were seeing SharePoint come into the fold of a broader set of applications in the Office 365 suite, we saw that there was a lot of learning to do, and a lot of the projects were on the current technology, SharePoint on-premise, but we wanted to be prepared for Office 365 and get a sense of what's there, why it's there, and it really was for ourselves internally, for our own collaboration, and then for our customers, so we could basically give them a sense of what SharePoint is in the context of Office 365 and how that works well, as a combined suite of applications.
And is it you pick a topic a week, or you come up with a couple of tips, or it's just sort of an open sort of format for how you do this?
It's pretty open. I open it up to anyone in the company that wants to share something. Sometimes the topics will include, some development topics, for people that are trying to build, say, against the Office graph and raising awareness of what's out there and what are people doing. Really is that time to sync at least once a week where we raise our head up and kind of talk about what's out there as a group, and a lot of times I'll end up doing the talking, but I just want to make sure that we don't stay kind of buried in the present moment of what we're doing today and keep our eye out on the future so we can help customers know when it's the right time to move to the cloud and what they get when they move to the cloud.
And we've talked before about like the Office roadmap. Is that a place where you'll go and check to see sort of what's coming out?
Yeah, I use that as kind of a feeder if I don't have any topics that I want to share. Or go out to the Office 365 roadmap and look at what's been released or updated in the last 60 days. They have filtering on that, and you can go look at certain topics to see, where's the time being spent on the platform and where's the most activity. Kind of gives you a sense of what's coming down the pipe, because you can see things that are in development before it actually gets released. There's a lot more visibility into the roadmap today than what we saw, say 5 years ago with Microsoft Server products. They're highly visible in terms of what's coming into the pipe, what's being delivered, what's in a, quote, early release for certain tenants to be able to take advantage of, and then what's planned to be released to the entire public.
And part of this philosophy for us is sort of to stay ahead of the curve. Is we're on the fast ring equivalent sort of for Office 365? Is that
it's first release?
First release.
Yeah, there's a standard release and a first release, and for your tenant in Office 365, you can opt for that. It's an administration setting, and that way you see things that they've been tested, but it hasn't got to a wider audience, and you can kind of kick the tires, and things that go to first release might not make it to standard release, based on the usage of it and what people think about it. But a lot of those things that come out in first release really make it out to standard release. It's just a first step with people that are more tolerant to things changing in their environment. And as a consulting company, we like to see the changes as soon as they're available.
And if this is on Tuesday morning, and how long is the morning brew last?
It's 15 minutes. We try to make it, digestible, for people where they feel like they have time to do it. It seems like something like 15 minutes is something you can squeeze into your day. So we do it at 8:45 in the morning, and it gives people a chance to kind of come together and share information about what they're seeing. A lot of it ends up being tips and tricks too of, did you realize you've got this ability, you can configure this way, and increases our productivity. And it's little tidbits we can share with our customers too that might not be, quote, development efforts, but more of, did you realize you have this for free? So we want to make sure we continue to raise that awareness of what customers get for free, and that way they have a good starting point for solutions versus starting with a blank slate.
And some folks go, we have an open office, and so some folks come and come into the open office to see this, and then there's, I guess for remote folks, they're watching this online and calling in online to listen in.
And then Tim sits at his desk and calls in online. Yes.
Yes, he likes sitting at his desk. So there it goes again. Tim comes up in a podcast. Surprise, surprise. Anything else? I guess this is, why wouldn't maybe one of our clients do this? I mean, it seems like it's a sort of a good way for them. I know a lot of them have these sort of like user groups and monthly get-togethers to talk about whether it's SharePoint or Office 365, but this seems like anybody could benefit from doing this.
Yeah, I think it serves a couple purposes. One is just awareness. Mm-hmm. Another aspect is learning too. And you're really evangelizing the platform. I think you don't get use of a platform unless you constantly remind people what's there. And sometimes they have to see it 3 and 4 times. So our repeat certain topics that I think are important enough to show again, because either not everybody was there, or it's just something that we forget about because we haven't seen it. I bring up Delve quite a few times because it's one of those hidden gems that I think people are not consciously just going out to Delve to look at it. And what I've noticed over time is they're taking Delve and they're starting to surface it in areas like OneDrive, where it starts recommending things for you versus I have to physically know where it's at and navigate down to where it's located. Delve is trying to take your interactions, your connections with people and content, and trying to use machine learning to figure out of all the content in your organization, which pieces of content you might be interested in.
And I think another important thing to note for this isn't something that external folks are listening in on, so it makes it a little bit more of a safe environment for people to ask questions. I think that's an important aspect of this as well.
Yeah, and it gives people a chance to present too. I mean, that's always a good thing, to be able to articulate your thoughts to a group of people and do that in a safe environment, and that way it's easier when you go into a more public setting to share information.
Mm-hmm. Any other tips that you might have on maybe an organization trying to get a morning brew-like session set up internally in their organization?
I think it's just get a regular frequency, make it a very short duration, try to get as much participation as you can. And, make it easy. Don't come up with a very polished, presentation every time. Make it ad hoc and make it, feel like it's, someone's just watching over your shoulder as you show them something versus you creating a PowerPoint deck for a 15-minute meeting. Mm-hmm. So I think you just want to reduce the friction for people to share, and you need to do it, I think, on a regular frequency, like a week, to continue to keep that awareness and keep people thinking about and getting better use out of the platform.
And this is different than we also do the Bruce's where we're grill out and have sort of the showcase,
right?
Where you're spending, I guess, spending more time on delving into the code. So there's a distinguishing factor between, hey, somebody might want to take 30 minutes to go through and go through a specific solution we've created. There's a different forum for that sort of thing.
Right. We have the product showcase to take project-based work and showcase what we've done for other clients. Things that we typically can't show publicly, but we want to raise the awareness internally. So if someone's building something similar, they know, so-and-so actually built that already, and I know who to talk to. And it's kind of a training thing too. We try to expose people to newer technologies, and maybe they don't have time or they're not on a project that's getting them involved with new technologies. That at least they get to see it in the product showcase. And then we have another form of learning, while we're on this topic, is we call lunch and learns. I mean, most organizations do that. We do it based on new topics that come up that people are just going to have a hard time figuring out themselves. So we try to have someone dig into it deep and then share and do like an hour session. And that it could be as detailed as that, or it could be as lightweight as let's just take an hour and replay a video from Microsoft on a certain topic that's a development topic.
I like how sort of you're leading up the morning brew sessions for making sure you've got a good cadence with them, staying on top of what's coming out. Bruce is making sure that a lot of the projects that we're delivering, that there's awareness inside the organization as far as what we've done for other clients. And then Pete's just every once in a while doing these lunch and learns on important topics that he thinks our consultants and developers need to know. As far as things that are coming out that they need to be aware of. And I think that's an important aspect of this as well, is you need to have different formats of sharing. That's an important aspect of this as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else to wrap us up, Tom?
That is it.
All right. I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Sure thing, Danny.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you've got, definitely leave a comment if you've got some pointers on sort of how do you stay on top of Office 365, SharePoint, just interested to learn more about maybe what you're doing within your organization to continue to learn and continue to share and continue to stay on top of things, because my goodness, stuff is coming out at a rapid pace, and it really is important for you to take the time to back away and learn. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you, Danny.
You betcha. Drop by ThreeWill.com and have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.